Welcome to Dental Unscripted. Where Mike Dinzio and Paula Quinn break down the practice ownership journey, one episode at a time. Starting up, buying, and running a successful dental practice.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Unscripted. We're keeping it hot today. This is our second episode live, so the socials are going to be annoyed of Michael and Paula's face today, but that's just how it's going to be. It's good to see you again, Paula. Nice to see you, and thanks for joining, as always. Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's all about culture. We're going to break culture down. I think culture's a great topic because lately I've been feeling like burnout, and I know burnout's kind of like a buzz thing. I mean, we've been talking about burnout since, I don't know, I feel like a couple years after COVID, everybody was burned out. I'd go to dental conferences and there'd be speakers on burned out. There was a lot of burnout stuff out there. And I feel like the better the culture you have, your culture and your stress a good culture can help you have less stress in a situation.
But you're burned out?
No, I'm not burned out.
I thought you said you were.
No, I'm not burned out. I have been burned out, but I'm not burned out. But I feel like if you have a great team and you have great culture, you're excited about going into work. You're not as stressed. You've got like-minded people around you, and you just can do, it's just better. If you have like not such a great culture, I think you can get burnt out quick. So I think it's a great topic. It's very relevant for this moment in time. And that's what we're going to break down today. Just a little housekeeping. If you're listening to this on Startup Unscripted or Dental Acquisition Unscripted, please join us on just the channel Dental Unscripted. It's our new channel. We're breaking down practice management stuff. We're still doing a ton of startup and acquisition stuff. Lots of different topics, but we're consolidating into one channel. So Dental Unscripted. Paula, when I talk about culture, even at Next Level or our clients, like, what do you think? Where does your head go? Because it's such a consultant thing to discuss. But I kind of want to just have a really real conversation about why it's important and the benefits of it, why it should be important to our listeners and clients.
Well, you kind of just defined it, right? It's a difference of wanting to be at work and not wanting to be at work, or being around those you work with versus not. If there's not a good culture, a good vibe, a good feel, it's kind of like, we joke all the time in dentistry that we spend more time at work than we do home, and it's kind of our dental family. And if it doesn't feel good, or there's clicks and things like that, it can actually, ruin your mojo.
Yeah. I mean, how do you even digest culture? Where do you even start in your mind to start fixing culture or to start paying attention to it? I was thinking about a client that we had before this episode here in Washington, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, like, do you feel like your employees are partners, like, or are they like stakeholders? Like, do they want to come in, or do they see this as a job?
Right.
And I felt like he had a decent culture, and he said they're all jobers, and it made me sad because I felt like that office had good culture. And so, like,
now you have no hope.
Yeah, so there's no hope. Exactly. No, I just feel like it's something that constantly needs nurture. Like you related it to a relationship. If you don't nurture your relationship, it's just not gonna it's not going to take off, right? And so where do you even start with culture in your mind? Because it's such a beast. It's such a beast.
Well, I think just getting something here because it's where I would start. Ooh, what is that? Um, I think, one of the things we did recently was our core values.
Oh, whipping out the blocks, the cubes.
And I do think that if everyone doesn't understand the why behind the work, it's not going to build unity and accountability. So I think that really, I think you and I dove in, when we wanted to strengthen our culture, and we decided to really think about. You and I went to a little event, or not an event, but we worked with someone, and they had said that they implemented some stuff for us. And one of the things they said is, you should hire and fire to your core values, because if someone's not on the train, then it's somewhere along the line. I mean, it may not be direct sabotage, but it's going to sabotage what you're trying to do, because the passion, the care, the direction that you're trying to go, it's going to be hard if you're dragging somebody uphill or downhill or across the field, rather than them being a part of it and believing in what you're doing. So
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up values, because I think that probably is the foundation of any culture. And values, we went through that and defined it. And what was really interesting is, like, if the owner of the business or leader, whatever you're doing, if you're a leader or an owner, if you're not super clear about your values and the things that are really important to your business, or what you're trying to do, then you can't really hold people accountable to that. So defining the values, what's going to guide your team, it, that starts with that. And so Paula held up our cubes. If you're watching on YouTube, those were our values, and we defined them. And what was interesting, even within our business, is the minute you defined them, then you could quickly see, even within ourselves as the owners, or with the folks that help us do everything we do, you could quickly see, like, when we were out of alignment, just simply defining it, right?
Mhm.
So integrity, I know, is one of your favorite values that you brought to the table. And the minute it's on a cube or a poster or on your desktop background, and you see it every day, and you witness when someone's not being full of integrity, then it's an issue. And if someone consistently isn't doesn't have integrity, then to your point, might not be a good fit for the business. And so values, I think, are huge.
I like that you said that. You start recognizing it. Like, you know what you want, but you allow things to happen. But once you define it and you live it, and constantly, like you said, remind, it starts eating away at you if it's missing in somebody or something you're doing, for sure.
Yeah, it just brings it right to the top, and it puts it right in front of you. And I think values is probably a great place to start. Um, the other thing is once you kind of have those values declared and identified and agreed upon, because we went through a whole exercise of getting our team to agree on the values, and they even came up with some themselves. And so it's kind of like a document, a constitution, so to speak. But then, Paula, I think one of the best things you do for our clients is helping them with handling conflict and having hard discussions, conversations. You've been a team member for 35 years in a dental office, and now as a consultant, and now you have hard conversations with even our team members sometimes, even with me, your partner. And so, like, okay, so now we have values defined, and you got to have a hard conversation. It's that accountability piece. Just having the poster on the wall isn't it. Once someone's breaking one of the values consistently, and it's their intention to break those values, then you got to have a hard conversation. So where do you even begin with constructive communication? Because I think having values is one thing, but then having the accountability piece to it and having hard conversations is another.
Well, I would say for me, I think that's jumping ahead a little bit, because I think that the other thing with just creating values is the expectations around that. So like, especially when I go back to a dental job or a dental office, if we don't know our job, we're constantly going to fail other people. Like if we don't know the expectations, if we don't know, I mean, super clear expectations. So it's not just you answer the phone before the third ring. It's not just, go get a patient. It's go out and get the patient and call them Paula or Miss Quinn. It's really defining, to me, the expectations of both their job description and kind of, I hate to say it because you always say it's overused, but that clear vision, that clarity of where we are. And it's not the vision, the frou-frou vision that you see on the wall for the patients.
Mission statement. It's not the mission statement. Yeah.
No, it is like truly, where do we want to be in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year? We relate it back to teams, sports teams a lot. It's like, if the quarterback isn't calling the play, could you imagine all the team running around with their own intentions on how that play is going to go?
I've seen those football teams. They're not very good. Yeah. The Cleveland Browns for example.
It's a combo of things. It's setting those clear expectations. We do a lot of startups, Michael, and they'll say to me like, oh, we don't need a morning huddle. We've got one patient today and 3 team members. We talk all day long. And my answer to them is, my response, I should say to them, is always like, yeah, but what happens when you have 8 patients? And what happens when you have 8 patients 3 days a week? All of a sudden, that communication isn't able to happen. So even if it doesn't mean just because you don't have a ton of patients on the schedule, you don't have to come in 20 minutes early. You can do it, an hour into the day if you don't have an 8 a.m. patient. But I think it still needs the expectations still need to be set every day for everybody, clear, concise, so that when something fails, that communication becomes easier. If I say to you, hey, show up tomorrow morning, and you do, but you don't bring anything, is that on me or is that on you? So it's once I set those clear communications, Michael, show up tomorrow 8 a.m., bring a pencil and notebook and whatever, and then you don't, now we have something to talk about. Mm-hmm. I feel more empowered and confident in having that conversation with you because I set the expectations. If I don't, now I'm probably just going to let things slide because I'm thinking, well, I didn't really tell him. Yeah. Of course he didn't know. Now I'm frustrated with you. I'm having my own internal battle.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense because I'm thinking about next level, like 1.0. That might be an internal code word, but you're going to know what I'm talking about. When we first started and we grabbed folks to even work for next level, I don't know if we were really ready, but it made sense. And so we onboarded a coach or a few coaches. And we didn't set any expectations. It was just kind of like, hey, you know what consultant's all about. You've been doing it for years. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Right. And then when those folks just didn't do it our way or didn't have the same kind of outcome that we would like, it's hard to have a conversation about how they did wrong, because we never set those expectations on them from day one. So I think it's a beautiful example because a startup has nothing going on. Nothing. They're sitting around picking their nose. There's nothing going on. And so what a beautiful time.
Yeah, I hope they're not picking their nose.
Well,
at least using gloves.
Just use gloves. You beat me to it. Just that's a perfect time to establish all the agreements, expectations, and job descriptions.
Yeah, even when you're acquiring a practice, right? It's like these folks, whether you're a startup, an acquisition, or even just general practice management, most of these folks have experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring their experience from another office,
right?
Or what they were taught from. Would you use Nancy Joe? Earlier. It doesn't mean it's horrible or wrong. It's just not the way that we want. And some docs don't even know. They don't know the phone's being answered, and they'll walk out, and it's like, "Good afternoon, hold please." You know what I mean?
And that's the way they did it at the other office.
And they've been doing it, you've owned this practice, and they may have been doing this for 5 or 10 years. You don't even know it till you hear it. And you're like, wait, is that how you're answering the phone?
Yeah.
Well, not always, and it's like, holy crap. So you want to just, whether you've owned for a long time and it starts today, whether you've acquired a practice and it starts today, or you're a startup, I think really honing in on your expectation, your vision, your core values, and then even deeper, just again, like those job descriptions. Job descriptions are, hey, you answer the phone, you answer emails, you do this, but it even gets, more nitty gritty and how and why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that you said that. So we're covering in really broad strokes here, but I think these are really good things for every owner to go through. So we covered values, expectations, job descriptions, but then taking it one layer deeper, to Paula's point, is like, why are we doing these things? Because I think people treat their work, their jobs, as jobs until you explain to them what we're trying to do here and why. It makes it more of an owner mentality when I am training somebody at next level, for example, and I'm like, yeah, do this, and they're people pleasers. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that all day. That's no problem. Until you attach, well, we do this because the consequences of not doing it is this, and if that happens, then that and that and that and that happens, right? And now they're like, oh, like this isn't just a duty now. Like this affects, if I don't do this thing, it affects my team, my owners, my patient, whatever. Like there's a consequence, a ripple effect of not doing that thing. And if they don't attach the why behind it, it just isn't as meaningful. It's just a job description, a job.
Yeah.
Okay, so now can we go to hard conversations? So I love that, Paula, and I'm glad you had to step back, because you do have to define it, and the leader has to drive it, and all of that needs to get written out. Is that what you would suggest, Paula, is writing all this out and then kind of having all that as part of like an onboarding process, or at least a conversation? How would you implement values and expectations and agreements? And we do agreements in offices all the time. Like, how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're starting today, it's almost like, a check-in. You could either do it in a team meeting, you could do a one-on-one, but I think it's, maybe even falling on your sword, like, hey, maybe I didn't do this right from the beginning. I was a new owner, or hey, I've been doing this so long and you're new to the team, or, and I think it's just like, first, obviously getting clear yourself, and then doing that. It's both through, to me, like I said, explaining your core value and your vision, and then, yeah, absolutely, job descriptions. I think everyone needs one. I think we crave, how can we please others? What can we do to help? What can we do to make it happy? And how do I know if I'm doing a good job? And so I think, the job description and the measurables behind it. At what point do I know that this is satisfying to you? So, I'm just trying to think, like, scheduling to goal. If I know, if I put $5,000 a day on the schedule, or 3,000, I did a good job. Otherwise, I'm just scheduling. Doctor's frustrated, doesn't know, what's happening up there until finally someone comes up and says, why is our month so crappy? What happened? And I'm like, what do you mean? What's it supposed to be at? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Wait,
exactly.
there was something all day long or whatever. So I think it's, setting all those expectations and absolutely writing it down. And we get nitty gritty, when we do it, even to breaking up time management, because it's, if you're spending from 8 to 9 in the morning or 8 to 10 in the morning trying to get all your confirmations done,
Mm-hmm.
It sets you up for success for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Then you 10 to 12, you're whatever. And then, and sure, you're going to get kidnapped, the whirlwind of the day is going to kidnap you, but hey, I've got to get this done before 10. So it's yep.
What I wanted to make sure that we really, I love that, because I love that you're adding a lot of contextual context to this
Well, I
conversation.
am, because it's going to make me as an owner happy, and it's
I
going to make
know
you as an employee happy.
it's perfect, because you can write it down. You could have the team all agree on it. You can create job descriptions, and that's all setting everybody up for success. But you took it to another level. So instead of the bullet point on your front, I'll make this very tangible. Instead of on the job description, you have schedule to goal, a bullet point to the front office person, right? So you're hiring a front office person, and part of the job description might say schedule and fill the schedule. That's the task. What Paula just said is, instead of saying that, it should say schedule to a 5,000 per day goal. It's very specific. It's not just kind of, yeah, I got to schedule.
Fill the
No,
schedule.
it's fill the schedule. No, it's fill the schedule to 5,000 per day. And it's the more granular and the more results driven you can get your team aligned on, the more success that you'll have, the happier the owner will be, and you create that owner mentality. So I love that. So the first part of this whole conversation was really just getting it documented, getting it super clear, understanding what you're trying to get out of your team, what's important to you as the owner, so on and so forth, and just getting it down and being super clear. Then I guess the next part is if you have done all of that, then you get to have some accountability. But too many times our clients want to have accountability conversations, and they haven't done that whole front end of this episode.
There's gonna be a culture breakdown without clarity. That's just it's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to your point, now how do I have that conversation? And I can't put somebody's feet to the fire.
That's right.
If they don't have clarity. It's kind of on me. Communication starts with me and with you, whoever you is, and trickles down from there. So
yes,
now I feel as an owner, or even as a teammate, that I can now go and have what would normally be an uncomfortable conversation. It's never going to be fully comfortable, but I can feel confident. It's just like we teach cancellation and no-show policies all the time. If we're writing it, we're walking the walk, everyone's speaking the language. It's super transparent to our patients. It's a lot easier conversation to say you owe me money than if it's somewhere hidden in our office policy. I've never reminded anyone. It's not in our text. It's not. Now I feel bad for the patient. I'm like, I don't want to charge this patient. Like, they didn't know, or maybe we didn't make it clear enough. Maybe we should give them a couple chances. It's that same thing. But when you have confidence that you've done everything in your power to have clarity, clear communication, define the things, the why, the how, now it's like, hey, you're just messing with me now, right?
Yeah,
Or you
exactly.
forgot. Which is fine if you forgot, but I can feel confident in reminding you, hey, remember when we talked about that? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm thinking, like, there's a lot of conflict that happens within an office I don't know how to say this in another way, but there's a lot of ladies and can be some drama at times. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but it's true, right? And so you just, like you said in the beginning of this episode, it's family, right? And things happen, and I think a huge part of culture is having great communication, having safety within an office. So it's not just having hard conversations about what you did or didn't do, but it's probably also about how to break down upsets. And it, you know, does anything like that trigger you with
Wait, say that. Can you say that again?
upsets, having upsets? It just, there's a lot of upsets that happen in a dental office, as you know, and it's how you handle those upsets that can really bond folks together. I know personally, when I've had hard conversations with clients and team members, my relationship usually elevates after that conversation. I have absolutely have had situations where I haven't handled it right, and guess what? That's not a great, I lost an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that culture, I think you can create as the owner an environment where open communication and healthy conflict resolution can make an office thrive or struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've felt that in dental offices your entire career, Paula.
Yeah, and I think all those things lead up to that. You know, all those things lead up to that. And you even mentioned safety. Safety's another. So if you think about it, clear expectations, you know, clarity on where we're going, all of this stuff, safety and communication. I think we feel supported. We understand the expectations, which is going to create high performing cultures. And if you feel confident in going to your teammate and you feel safety in your teammate coming to you, especially if you go with the intent, you know, we always say with one problem come with three solutions. If your intent when you go to someone is to fix, have a better outcome and move forward in a constructive way, and not assume that the other person had good intentions too, that they may not have been aware. When you attack somebody, no matter what, they're going to be defensive. I think everybody comes out punching when, so there's two things that are happening there. Either the person being talked to doesn't feel safe with you, or you came at them in an aggressive way. Because if you come with the intent to fix, you're assuming, hey, what's going on? This is so unlike you. You know, you're usually really good at whatever, putting your tray away. We always use the tray. That's always the fun. You know, the hygienist leaving the tray in the sterilization room is always the fun topic. You know, if we have all that going for us, if you come to me and say, hey, what happened to that? You know, why was that tray left in there at lunch? I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. If you come at me and say, you always do this, and especially if I don't always do it, guess what's coming back at you? So I think it goes on both people. I think I have to have safety with the person that's coming at me, which means our communication is in the past hasn't been them coming and attacking me. There's safety there. And then I think it's that person still, even if there's trust and safety, has to come with the intent to want to fix something and not accusatory. You know, I think that communication will always thrive.
I think that's a really hard thing to do. Let's be honest, is being that bigger person, and the leader and the owner has to be that. Like, as the owner, as the leader, we have to step back, take a deep breath, and try to understand first. And if you do that consistently within your organization or whatever you're doing as a leader or owner, people will feel safe with you. And if you can create an environment where people feel safe, holy crap. Like, if everybody feels safe in your organization, then you can go right up to that person and say, yo, you're not being good. You're not doing the best you can. You're not treating patients the way I know you can. And there's safety there. And that person levels up because you have that safety. But if you don't, then you got to dance around this weird like thing. But if you can work on that, just like you could work on that with your relationships at home, any relationship you're in, creating that safety is really huge. I wanted to actually pivot.
Well, I wanted to say one more
Oh,
thing. So where are
okay,
you
please.
pivoting to? Where are
Well,
you?
I was gonna pivot to having a clarity about what we're trying to do as far as like results and goals, because I think that also glues culture. But let's not move on unless you have something else to
Well,
do.
I was gonna say the how behind it, and I think the how, you know, we started with the how, but I think the last piece is investing in your team. You know, it's not even just investing money, investing in coaches. It's also investing time. So I mentioned earlier about those check-ins. I think having the one-on-ones, I think celebrating big and small wins. I think recognition. We do a workshop where we discuss recognition. We do actually a lot of workshops on, you know, I think team culture. We like sprinkle those in, and I think it's super important. The morning huddle helps. The team meetings help. The check-ins help. The evaluations help. Recognition, celebrating, you know, when someone has a win. Sometimes I even implement what I call the kudos box, you know, just recognizing even each other as teammates. So I just don't think you can underestimate the power of, you know, recognizing something good that somebody did, or just how the team won, even with a great review of like, you know, that's a privilege when a patient stops and leaves us a review. It takes time. And so celebrating those wins with your team, you know, no matter how big or how small, I think is important.
Well, you talked about like all those workshops that we do, and I'm glad you did. The clients, Paula, I want you to think. I have some examples. If you have some too, let's have them. But oh, yes, you do. I'm thinking about the offices that embody culture and culture matters. They just do better. It's a fact. Like and it's not just better. It's like they're on another level. I think about a lot of our young practice owners who are a little younger in their career and haven't felt the pain of managing people yet. And there's a clear difference in folks that like really care about this stuff. And then there's a lot more people that don't. And I'm just going to tell you that the folks that really do embody this idea crush. They crush, and their teams are better, and they don't burn out, and they're not as stressed. And it's just a beautiful thing. And when folks hire us, sometimes they think we're just going to come in and fix their culture for them. We cannot fix your culture because
No.
it's driven by the owners. And do they actually take these workshops and do the things and live these things and create the posters and buy the cubes with the values and hold people accountable, and they actually buy into it. If you're just doing the culture things once a year at your retreat, you don't have good culture, and you're not going to have the huge wins that Paul and I are talking about.
Well, think about your family, right? Like, I mean, when you have kids, they don't really appreciate very much. I mean, that's just kids. They're not there yet maturity wise. But imagine walking into your home every day after work and your kids and your significant, everyone just like, you're the greatest. Everything's great. You know, you would be like, I love coming home, right? Or
Right.
I hate leaving. This is so good. People walk into your house and they're like, holy crap, I want to go there every Friday night. Like, think about that dynamic. I mean, that's a little bit of wishful thinking, exaggeration there. But
Yeah.
if you had that at work where we're using please and thank yous, we're saying good morning and goodbyes, we're jumping in where we're needed, we're appreciating, we're thanking every time someone helps us, we're appreciating, the small things, even if it's something that they should do,
Anyway.
using words like, absolutely, I'm happy to help. Where can I help you? Even though I'm busy. Like, could you imagine? You'd be like,
Wow.
it's the best freaking place ever. Like,
That's
I
right.
love this place. I love the people I work with. And I do think, Michael, it starts with the owner, because
Of course it does. Everything does.
yeah. I really do. So, anyone out there, all you dentists listening, but it doesn't have to be, one person can change an office. Maybe the dentist, the owner needs, they don't recognize it. And, it's the front office, it's the hygienist, it's the dentist or the assistant.
That's right.
They can also turn a culture around.
That's right. And you got to get those culture suckers out of there. There's a book that I read and it's called, it's the bus one. Paula, help me. Bus. The Energy Bus. Energy Bus by John Gordon or something like that. And he talks about energy vampires. And that's basically a culture vampire. If you get a culture vampire that's sucking all the culture out of your business and your organization, get rid of them. They are killing you inside and out. Paula, you talked about the pleasantries. It's sad that we even have to say what you just said, the please and the thank yous. And it's sad that we even have to say that. I think.
You mean sad that I need to say thank you to people, or
no,
sad?
It's sad that we need to highlight that we should do it. It should just happen. And I know it doesn't just happen.
No, you're busy. It's you've not worked in a dental practice, but it's I'm just as busy as you. Well,
Right.
And even in our business, right? I'm just as busy as you.
Yeah.
I don't think about thanking you every time you bring a new client into our culture. I don't thank you every time.
Yeah.
You get off the call with me in front of a dentist. It kind of goes without saying.
That's true. That's true.
And I appreciate everything you do. And I know that you know that. But if you constantly heard it, not just from me, but every one of our team members, and it's in front of a doctor, and they're thinking, wow,
they love each other. Yeah.
Holy shit, this is these people are weird, but I like it,
Yeah.
So no, it isn't sad. I think we just get very busy. We're very busy with the things. America's a very busy culture anyway.
Yeah.
And even after, like you mentioned COVID earlier, I think we got even more busy.
Yeah.
We're all in it. What's in it for us? And,
Totally.
My job is just as hard as yours. And I got my own stuff to worry about. So you're right. I mean, it is sad in a way, but I think it's much more common than not.
Yeah.
But for sure.
So I think that's beautiful. Paula talked about the pleasantries and just slowing down and taking the time. That's so Paula, if you know Paula. I'm the conflict guy. And I think, holy crap, there's such an opportunity with conflict. I'm telling you, if you could lean into conflict, I hate it. It's against all of my nature to have any conflict in my life. But you're just, folks, you're just going to have a lot of conflict in your life, especially if you own a business. There's going to be a lot of conflict in your life. I've learned over the years as a business owner, whatever, throughout this journey of life, that conflict, if you lean into it, your outcome, it's just next level. If you can handle conflict situation, I feel like it has a tenfold effect. The pleasantries absolutely do, but when you handle something that's just icky and you come out, you just have this this safety, this another respect for that person. It really can take things to another level. So owners, leaders, when you see conflict, and I'm talking to myself right now, when you see conflict, lean into it, handle it in a healthy way. You're going to have an incredible impact to your business and organization.
And when you say that, you don't mean, it doesn't always have to be two people fighting conflict. It's something is broken in the system, and you're watching it happen, and you have to have those difficult conversations, whether it's a person, well, it's always a person doing it, but whether it's like just skipping a step or
Right.
not showing up for the organization,
Right.
whatever that is.
But I do, yeah, it's
encouraging to hit it head on, because usually it makes or breaks the relationship.
It
And
does.
if it makes it and everything gets amazing and it takes the whole practice to another level, or it breaks it and you get that energy. I looked over here, I think I have it. That energy sucker out of there, and
Yeah.
they'll probably be happier for it too. It probably wasn't, it may not even be them. It just might not be the right place for them as well.
That's
sure.
right. But I will say that, like, you're right. Like, smaller conflicts or things, like, absolutely great. Lean into that. But the bigger the issue, people screaming, contention, ugly stuff. Like, the bigger the issue, the bigger the conflict, the better the opportunity. If you could lean into opportunity like that. I'm talking to my younger self. I've had business partners and friends over the years that's like, oh, don't pull a Dinzio. And I'm like, what's that mean? Like, what did I do before where I burned some bridges and stuff? Right. And I look at my younger self and say, shit, I could have handled that way better. And maybe that would have been a relationship that would be like so fruitful had I handled that. So, but instead I was a hothead about it. I had my opinion. I didn't understand their opinion, their perspective. And although to me, it felt super clear that I was right, boy, I dug in and it, man, I could have had such a better relationship with that person. So I'm talking to my younger self. I'm talking to you, younger. Here she goes. I'm talking to my today self, apparently, specifically with my business partner and all the problems she has with me.
As a hothead,
but I have handled things as a hothead before. Let's bring in a question. I think it came through Next Level Consultants YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, today folks aren't as loyal. Here's the question. Today, folks aren't as loyal as they and always looking for the next best thing. I think that's so true. How do you hedge against that? And it's such a good question, because I think loyalty feels sometimes like it's dying. Although I look at some of our team members and I don't think we could have more loyal team members today. And I'm not patting me and you on the back too hard, but a little bit. And I think it's everything that we talked about today that's led up to this moment. And I didn't even know some of those things we were doing in the beginning. Now we've defined them on this show and books that we've read and trainings that we've had, consultants that we've brought into our own business. And we did that. We didn't do it. We didn't know we were doing that, but we did that. And I think creating safety is, to me, safety is probably one of the biggest things that I feel like our employees feel, and therefore they are loyal because they know they can screw up and they're not going to get fired. I don't know, Paula, how would you answer that? How would you hedge against not being, or how would you hedge against having employees that aren't loyal to your organization?
Well, I would agree with you. All the things we said, 100% for sure. It's very rare do you find super strong cultures. Docs feel like they have it because usually nobody's communicating and talking. We're all just doing our job, treating it like a job. So, when you start, sometimes the more you start digging in, the more you realize that there's actual problems. Sometimes there's no problems until we walk in, and then because the employees feel safe, in the dental practices talking to us about issues that are having, and the dentist or the owner didn't even know it. So just because you don't have rifts in your culture doesn't mean that there's not a culture issue. So, just be aware of that. But I think a couple things, I'm not going to leave this. So, just frou-frou. I want to answer this in the way that I feel that could get some substance. And I think you got to dig in and find what's most important to your employees, how they feel recognized, and what can you do. And so sometimes an incentive program, people want to know that they're appreciated, and everybody feels appreciated in a different way. So the loyalty, I feel like, comes from I don't feel appreciated. One of the workshops we do is, people don't typically leave for money. They leave for feeling unappreciated. And
Mm-hmm.
appreciation is shown in so many different ways to different people, or I should say they receive it. And so I would dig in and really find out what kind of recognition or appreciation that your team members need. And I do think making them part owners in the practice. And I don't mean sell off your portions of the practice, but I think instead of bonus systems, profit sharing opportunities, hey, if the practice does better, you get to reap the rewards. I mean, what better way, if it's not just your income, it's my income too. And
That's
so
right.
when that patient cancels or we don't have that $5,000 day, I don't win either. And so I
Yeah.
think when we're all in it together, and then the second thing I would say is, um, sweep the floor. Isn't that a book
I
or,
don't know.
or a motivational speaker? Get in there and sweep the floor with them. No one is above anybody. And, when the dentist, when the owner takes off right at 4 o'clock every day and the whole team, you know, is stuck doing things. I'm not saying you've got to, get on the floor and clean the operatories too, but I think showing that you're willing, to jump in when times are tough, speaks volumes for team members as well. I think that they appreciate that. And then we talk about it all the time, and one of my teammates or one of our employees has said this, there's nothing worse than owners entertaining bad behavior. And so when you're allowing somebody to run amok, everyone's sitting here thinking, I'm sitting here, practically a star employee doing everything you've ever asked of me. And this person gets to show up late, leave early, uh, not do instruments, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think those things,
Yeah.
but there is no easy answer.
Well, I love that you said that because someone made a comment. This is like
Oh,
the busiest, like I'm watching kind of some of the threads on Facebook and stuff. And we've got the most watches. We've got interaction going.
it's culture.
I know this is getting weird,
I
but
like it.
what you said is exactly what Miss Burnett's saying, is that some of the less experienced staff members may not have learned these skills anywhere. And it is the responsibility of the owner to teach them and set the expectation. And I think that sums up everything, that as a leader owner, you have to lean in, like we've been talking about, and teach these younger, inexperienced staff members. Now, when you're the inexperienced owner, that's the question. Get yourself some help from maybe some consultants like us or mentors, whatever. But like, you have to teach these team members these skills. It's not just like a work environment skill. It's also family and relationship environment. And yeah, you got to teach them tools, give them tools to manage through these conflicts and stuff. So, boy, we've gone a little further and a little longer on this episode just because we were jiving. And anything that you would love to kind of put an end cap on this program before we shut it down, Paula?
Well, I think, real quick, right before we got on, we were talking about, culture, eat strategy for breakfast. And one of the things I just want to say on that what that actually means is you're not going to succeed if the team is not aligned and engaged to execute that strategy. So
That's right.
if you have a strategy, you have to have someone to execute it. And the stronger your team is, the more aligned your team is, the more engaged they are with everything you got going on. That's when the execution happens.
I love that. Yeah.
Just remember that, because you got these SOPs, you've got these, well, we don't usually have that either, but when we do, we've got to do all those things that Michael and I have been talking about for the last 50 minutes, 45 minutes, or else it's just going to be an SOP in a book or a pipe dream.
I love that. Exactly right. Lots of things that we covered today. I can honestly say that I love that you talked about strategy, because where I was going to go earlier on the episode is talk about your goals, talk about where you want to be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, declare goals, get everybody thinking the same. And I think that is so important. However, you could talk about numbers and where you want to go all day long and have all the strategies and how you're going to do it. But if people don't like working for you and you don't have a good culture, none of it's going to work. So there's a lot there. And needless to say, you got to work on the people. And that's the hardest thing about this business. It's why we have a job and we're blessed to do it. And lean into this discussion with your organization and practice. So I guess without further ado, let's shut this program down. Thanks so much for all the activity online and following us, subscribing, liking, all the things. Tune into the next episodes.
How about if anyone has any, I don't know, Michael, I don't know if you've ever done this, but if anyone has any input, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know some things out there that you'd like to hear more about that can really help, drive your practice. We try to hit on lots of different things, but we're always open, to things like that. So
great idea. Good way to end that. Okay, guys, thanks so much for your time. We know it's a big deal to give people time. Thank you. We appreciate it. Until the next episode, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Let us know how you like the show. Rate us on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe and follow for more.